Hello and welcome to today's lecture, which is on the notational plane, one of the ideas which were propounded by Dr. S. R. Ranganathan. I am Mustafa Zaidi. I have over 3 decades of experience as a teacher of library science in Aligarh University, and I have also worked in certain libraries. Now, as we all know, Dr. Ranganathan gave us a very definitive theory of library classification, and the cornerstone of his theory was that he divided the work of classification into 3 planes. We have already discussed the 3 planes in earlier discussions. The first plane is the idea plane, where we try to organize knowledge and try to sequence the different parts of it in a linear sequence. The second part is the verbal plane, where we give terms to the concepts that we have organized and why it is necessary that we should give names to the terms and how we should give those names. The third part that we are going to take up now is called the notational plane. So, let us first see what are the different areas where the notational plane works. In Ranganathan's ideas, the first one, as we already know, was the idea plane. Then we had the verbal plane, and right now we are going to go into the third level, which is the notational plane. Now, most of us know of classification through this only. We know of it through what we call the notational plane. The notational plane is the set of signs and symbols through which are placed on the, if we are talking about a library, of a traditional library, which are placed on the spines of books and which are written inside the books also, so that the books are arranged in a particular sequence. Now, the notational plane is important because it is this which in a way mechanizes the arrangement, and when we use the term mechanize, what it implies is that we have to use minimal part of our reasoning ability. It mechanizes, meaning that, for example, one of the most famous examples or the most commonplace examples that we have is the number system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and so on. Now, here if you give a book the symbol 4 and you go to the shelves of a library, then you know that this symbol 4 has to come after 3 and will come before 5. Whether 4 means economics and 5 means biology and 3 means religion is not something that the person who is going to the shelf has to remember. The person who is going to the shelf to look for a book or look for a particular publication only has to look at in the catalog and find out that the subject that he or she is looking for, which is economics, has been denoted by the term 4. So, when he or she goes to the shelf, then as they pass through the bookshelves, they look at the symbols which are written on the spines of the books or on the bay guides or on the shelf guides and see what is the symbol which is being given there. They are looking for 4. So, they will go to 4. They do not have to remember that economics is preceded by religion and is followed by biology. So, one of the greatest advantages of a notational system is that it helps us in getting to the book that we want or getting to the publication that we want with the minimal wastage of time. So, that is why it is important that we understand how this symbol system is constructed. So, that is why it is important for us to understand that notation provides sequencing to the arrangement of subjects on the shelves of a library. Another reason why notation is needed is that we have, by the way, we have already discussed it in an earlier lecture why verbal plane is important. Some similar reasons are there for why notational plane is important. One of the first reasons for that is that natural language that we use, natural language is is imprecise or is not precise, meaning there are shades of meaning when we use a particular term. When we say that today is cold, then this cold does not mean that there is a particular temperature range which refers to cold. When we use the term cold, we are comparing today's weather with yesterday's weather, or we are comparing today's weather with what the weather was a year back. And if we say that today is warm, then also there is a context in which the term warm is being used, and you cannot say that warm means this much degree Celsius or this much degree Fahrenheit. So, natural language is not very precise, in fact it is imprecise. So, when we are arranging subjects on the shelves of a library, we have to be very precise, because what happens is that, for example, I arrange the subjects on the shelves of a library, but tomorrow I will not be there, somebody else will be there. So, that somebody else should know that what is the logic behind my arrangement. This logic cannot be given by the use of words alone. This logic can be understood by using symbols which will stand for the concept of warm and the concept of cold. As all of these are different kinds of methods of arrangement. So, one is natural language is not precise. The another reason is that natural language has a number of homonyms and synonyms. We are already aware of the fact that homonyms mean a word with many meanings. Homonym means a word with many meanings, and synonym means many words with the same meaning. For example, if I use the term cotton, then cotton may mean a plant, it can mean a fabric. So, am I using the term cotton for a plant, or am I using the term cotton for a fabric? This will have to be defined. This is a homonym, and you know that a plant is entirely different and a fabric is entirely different. If you have a book on cotton plant, it will go to agriculture. If you have a book on cotton fabrics, it will go to textile engineering, which is an entirely different part of the universe of knowledge. Synonyms are words where the meaning is the same. For example, this is an example that you might have heard earlier also. We have the term lift and we have the term elevator. We have the term sound and we have the term acoustics. So, sound and acoustics are interchangeable, lift and elevator are interchangeable depending upon where you are using it, but both of them mean the same thing. So, if you give the label sound to a particular document and you say that this book is about sound, then someone looking for the book, but using the term acoustics will never get that book. Or if you have placed it under acoustics, then someone using the term sound will never get that book. So, that is why it is important that we have to overcome this problem of synonyms and we have to overcome the problem of homonyms. Apart from this, there are certain other things which happen in natural language. Now, one of the things that happens with natural language is that language changes over time and changes over distance. The same term, for example, the term political economy was used for what we call economics today. What we call economics today was earlier known as political economy. So, this is an example of changing of terminology over time. Similarly, things change over distance, meaning the meaning of a term changes over distance. For example, on one side of the Atlantic Ocean, the term used is townhouse. At another place, same kind of building is known as brown houses. Why? Townhouses were built with brown bricks. So, the color there, they became identified with the color brown. At another part of the country, they were associated with the place where they were situated, which was as a town. So, if you are looking for townhouses, you would not get material on the same kind of houses which are been placed under brown houses. If you are looking through brown houses, then you will not get what has been listed under townhouses. Now, this change in terms over time, over distance is also an important parameter which makes us go to the fact that natural language will not be able to give us precise ideas of or precise idea of what is available in a particular collection. So, we have the problem that language changes over time and over place, and that is one reason why notation should be used. Another problem which occurs is the multiplicity of language, as we just discussed. This multiplicity of language means that the terms that we use in a particular language will be arranged in a particular sequence when they are arranged alphabetically, but would be arranged in an entirely different sequence when another language is being used. For example, economics is known as Mashiyat in Urdu. So, books on economics, if they are arranged alphabetically, will go to E in the English language and will go to what we call meme or M in the Urdu language. That means that this arrangement that we have of Urdu books will be different from the arrangement that we will have for English books. Now, this is a major problem. You have to somehow overcome it. That is why librarians over a period of time thought of the fact that we should use some kind of symbols which will help us in overcoming these problems. Now, what they thought of was that we are all used to one kind of symbols right from the time we start our education, that are the Indo-Arabic numerals. The Indo-Arabic numerals are 0 to 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on up till 9. We know their sequence. Anyone who is educated instinctively, nearly instinctively knows that 3 comes after 2 and comes before 4. So, initially librarians started using these symbols to denote the names of subjects which they had arranged in a scheme of classification. Later on, it was realized that Indo-Arabic numerals used by themselves are not very useful as far as arrangement is concerned. Why? For example, if you had given the symbol 1 to economics, 2 to religion, let us say, 3 to fine arts and 4 to science, then we suddenly had a few books which dealt with, say, Hinduism. So, where will you keep Hinduism? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 is being followed by 3 and 3 is being followed by 4. So, where do you keep Hinduism? You will be forced to keep Hinduism at 5, but this is wrong, because if a person goes to the library, then that person wants that all books on a particular topic are arranged together. So, we will have some books on religion which will be placed under the symbol 2 and some books on religion of a particular type of religion which will be placed under 5. So, this is not a very helpful sequence. This in fact defeats the very purpose of arrangement of subjects on the shelves of a library, because no one in his whole lifetime can remember the sequence of subjects in the whole universe of knowledge. We will have to think of some other method by which this can be done. Now, one of the people who pioneered this work, or in fact gave it a new perspective, was Melville Dewey, an American librarian who worked in the Amherst College Library in New York during the 19th century. In 1876, he came out with what later on, or which today is known as the Dewey Decimal Classification. Here, what was important was the word decimal. Since the classification became very widely used, therefore, the name of Dewey was attached to it, but what he had originally come out was a decimal classification. What he had thought was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, if they are whole numbers, then if for example, let us say this is religion and this is social sciences, and as I gave you an example just now, later on we started getting books on Hinduism, Christianity, Jainism, Islam and so on, then ideally or theoretically these books on Islam, on Jainism, on Christianity, on Hinduism should all be kept together and should all be kept along with religion. Unfortunately, we have already allocated the symbol 2 to social science. So, where will these come? And if we did not get all these books at the same time, but we got them at different time periods, then maybe Hinduism will be placed here and Christianity may be placed here, and maybe Islam will come somewhere around 22, that this symbol will be used for Islam. So, that means books on religion have been scattered throughout the collection. This is not scientific, this is not what the purpose of classification is, because classification means bringing together according to degrees of similarity and separating according to degrees of dissimilarity, meaning the closer a book is to another book or a concept is to another concept, together the more close they should be kept. If they are different in different fields, then they should be kept separately. Now, this means that if you are using these symbols as whole numbers, then it does not work. What Dewey thought was that let me convert these symbols into these numbers into decimal numbers. So, religion became 0.1, social science, so all of them 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 and 0.9. What does this mean? You have given the symbol 0.1 to religion. When you got a book of Hinduism and you had no number available, you can give it 0.11. Now, we all know how decimal numbers are arranged. 0.1 will come before 0.11 and 0.11 will come before 0.2. Much later we got this book, Islam. Islam will not necessarily have to be represented by 2. It can be represented by, for example, 0.17. That means it will also come before social sciences. So, this was a revolutionary idea as far as symbols are concerned. So, in Dewey's scheme of classification, he arranged the subjects in the whole universe of knowledge. That means, all the subjects that were ever known in the past, that are known today and that are likely to be known in the future, they can all be arranged in a single linear sequence with the following meanings. This was the meaning given by Melville Dewey. Other classifiers have given different meaning. So, 1 represented philosophy, 0.2 represented religion, 0.3 represented the social sciences, 0.4 represented the different languages that we speak, 0.5 represented the pure sciences, that means physics, chemistry, mathematics, 6 represented applied sciences or technology, engineering, medicine and so on. 0.7 represented the fine arts. 0.8 represented literature and 0.9 represented geography and history. And there were still certain things which are not covered by this. So, he kept the first class, he reserved the first 2.0, which he called generalities. Generalities are books or subjects which cover more than one area of knowledge. For example, encyclopedias. Encyclopedia covers the whole universe of knowledge, or magazines and journals. Journalism, etc. Manuscripts, you can have manuscripts for many subjects. Libraries and museums. We today call it library science, and museums have become museology. So, what does this mean? These were subjects which were not there 200 years back or 300 years back, but because of the ease which converting these numbers into decimal numbers provides, each one of them can be accommodated at the place where they are required. We call them interpolation, that whenever a new subject arises, then the system should have the capability of accommodating it at its proper place. New branches of philosophy, new branches of social sciences, newer languages which have been discovered, then the different sciences where lot of research has taken place, different applied sciences or technology which has witnessed great innovations during the last 100 years or so, all of them, books on all of them are able to be classed with or are able to be placed on the shelves of a library with similar books. So, this was a major thing which Melville Dewey was able to achieve in 1876, and that is why this scheme became one of the most popular schemes to be used in libraries worldwide. In many libraries in India, this is the system which is in use. Then another great advancement after Melville Dewey's time was made by an Indian librarian whose ideas we are discussing now, which is Dr. S. R. Ranganathan. Dr. S. R. Ranganathan came up with the idea of what he used to call mixed notation and faceted notation. By the time that Ranganathan became an active librarian, he was, by the way, a professor of mathematics at Madras University, Presidency College, Madras University. He realized that the universe of subjects or knowledge has grown so complex that a simple sequence of Indo-Arabic numerals is not going to give us much leeway as far as developments in the subjects are concerned. Because, for example, if you go in the manner in which Dewey had arranged it, the number for radio. Now, radio is something which was being used more than 100 years ago, but the number for radio in the Dewey Decimal System comprises of about 17 symbols. So, try to think that radio is something which is very basic. This is technology which is more than 100 years old. For that, if the symbol that you have has more than 17 numbers, meaning it is something like 631.3 and it goes on like this. So, this is the big number that you get, and why? Because at every stage of division you add something so that the system becomes longer. This lengthy number cannot be written on the spine of a book. This cannot also be understood easily because it is such a big number. So, people after Melville Dewey, they tried to experiment with using what they call segmented notation. That notation was broken up into smaller parts, and these smaller parts would then be easily remembered and may easily be written. This was further developed by Ranganathan into what he called the faceted notation. Faceted notation is a revolutionary idea which helped us in overcoming all these problems that we have talked about right now. In a subsequent lecture, we are going to look at all of these problems one by one and the solutions which are proposed by Dr. Ranganathan. So, to sum up, what we have to understand is that despite the fact that we think, whenever we think, we use words, we use terms, but we cannot arrange subjects by using only terms. Why? Because the only sequence which names give us is an alphabetical sequence, which is A, B, C, D, or whatever be the alphabet in the language that we use. Now, names of terms or names of concepts change over a period of time. So, something which is known by, as the examples that I have given you, something which was known as natural philosophy earlier, that means it was kept in along with all subjects which start with N, will today be kept in physics, which is P. Similarly, the branches of mathematics, arithmetic, algebra, geometry, trigonometry and so on, will be scattered throughout the scheme of classification. The branches of agriculture would also be scattered throughout the scheme of classification or throughout the collection that we have. This is a very unhelpful practice. Therefore, it is necessary that we should have notation which would help in mechanizing the arrangement that we use to organize the books on the shelves of a library. That is all for today. Thank you.